Yeah. Yeah, you know what it is. 140 for the rebel, Billy man shit, nigga. They take their head off, nigga. I bet where Eve did to Adam, I just pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like Samson, I can't let no holder lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, oh they lies, this hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Nigga think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying, this shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Suckle up and stay alert, another cop can stretch the nigga. He ain't demon, it's an exorcism, watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. From the opposition, I see vision, let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spin, I ain't listening, is in fact a bitch. If revenge was a woman, now I stroke that bitch like Jacob. So I war, we gon' run the summer, it's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young pay. How you real trigger know them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something, I ain't hear. This shit light work. It ain't no who got this gun, it's no who gon' up that fight first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain first. Shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you, you'll never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. A certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, out with that hollow sign, yeah, this the rim accord. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still about my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get it, boy, lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy. You boy. You know what time it is, nigga. Better watch how you step in. Yeah. But that was my niggas. Yeah. I'm in it, yo. Got my nigga Rewan with me. But that was my niggas, it'll be an honor. You know what I'm saying? Under commanding General, your honor. Straight off the top, I love all of my niggas. That shit ain't gon' stop till we on top and we ballin', my nigga. We be fly as fuck, you know them bitches be stalking my niggas. That shit'll never change and it's the same with all my niggas. City to city, I should be at home. That's what my ribs say. But bitch, I'm grown. I'm in these streets and closed caption. Niggas know we bout that action. If a nigga play with me, then my Hakim gon' let him have it. Hey, make you the shit, this truth the shit. Nigga play, I let that Ruger hit. Get on them tracks, they be like, who is this? I'm rude with it, ain't got no manners. All them pussy niggas talking shit, yeah, I know they can't stand us, but we
Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat thoughts, all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Shemar thought by Shem Yahweh Shad, all the sisters. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out at 1 West 125th Street out of Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. We teach the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel according to the Bible. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. If you're not in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana, you are not in the truth. You understand? That being said, today's topic we're going over UAPs in the Bible, or the chariots. You understand? We're going to show you in the Bible that UAPs have always been throughout the entire Bible. You understand? This is how you know Christians don't understand the Bible. They don't know anything about the Bible. You understand? They have you thinking that angels are little naked babies with wings. You understand? But the truth is far different than what you were brought up to believe in the Christian church. You understand? So we're gonna get into it. You know what I mean? You see who all we got in class so far?
Sister Urka, Rahawaban,
Shalom, Sister Rakab.
and Sister Floyd.
Shalom, Floyd. Shalom, Yahweh Shemar, Thought by Shem Yahweh Shah. We'll get into it. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat. In regards to the topic, as long as it is on the topic, we get into it. You understand? All right, so now, UAPs in the Bible. You understand? This has been a hot topic. Well, it was a hot topic at one point in time. You understand? It seems to kind of died down here lately. But as you recall, there's a lot of files getting released, UAP files and things like that was getting released by Donald Trump. And everybody was thinking we was about to enter into the age of aliens, things like that. You understand? But I'm going to go ahead and tell you now that those things that you're seeing in the sky or hearing about in the sky, which are what we call UAPs, for the most part, what you're seeing is not actually UAPs. For the most part, the things that you're seeing is some type of government technology that just hasn't been released yet. That's the most of what's being seen is government technology. You understand? Government has technology far beyond, you understand, what they would lead you to believe. You understand? I believe they say that the government is about 50 years more advanced than what they call it, what do they call it? Than the commercial market. About 50 years. The military is about 50 years more advanced than the commercial market. You understand? And I believe that because there's a school, there's a college here in South Carolina. There's a couple colleges that actually work together on a lot of different projects. One, for instance, is a college called Anderson University, and there's a college called Clemson University. And those two colleges together, what they do is they have contracts with law enforcement. the law enforcement division. And what they do is they take certain technology, certain military technologies that are used in the military, and they take those technologies and then they reverse engineer them and basically kind of make a version of it to be used by law enforcement. So if you ever look it up, you ever look into it, one of the things you'll hear about or one of the things you'll see or learn about is how South Carolina is one of the most technologically advanced police forces in the country. You understand? And it's hard to believe because it's South Carolina. But the reason why they're the most technologically advanced is because a lot of police technology is designed, developed, and tested right here in South Carolina by South Carolina state troopers, by different counties and different cities all across the state. They test out a ton of different technologies, and the reports go up to these companies that are leading the development of these products, and then they go and they basically pitch these products to different cities and states and zones for purchase in their areas. For instance, Derakashar, you lived in South Carolina your whole life?
The majority. I spent like my early ages in Philadelphia, but the majority.
Let me ask you a question and tell me if you remember ever seeing this, right? You ever remember when they used to have these red lights, right? And in the red light, it had like a little tiny white light. You ever remember seeing that? Can't say it's yeah. So I remember vividly because I was one of them people that was out here committing crimes and doing all sorts of things that a man should never get himself engaged in. You understand? So I was definitely, taking notice of a lot of different things. Well, here's the thing. Those red lights had those little white lights in the middle. Those were cameras embedded into the actual red light. And not only were they cameras, but they were facial recognition cameras. So they could see you at the red light, scan your face, see if you had warrants, see if you had fines that was due. They could run your whole record right there from the red light. Now, not only that, but they had speedometers built into these cameras. So if you were speeding through an intersection, sometimes you would see the little white light flash because the little white light would be taking your picture. It'd be taking your picture, it'd be clocking your speed. And now, at the time, Anderson is very archaic. So they don't have a system set up to just automatically mail you a speeding ticket. So that they weren't quite doing that. However, years later, years later, you stop seeing them in Anderson and in different parts of South Carolina. You stop seeing them because they were testing those cameras. But then those cameras later popped up in places like New York, Washington, D.C. And so now what's happening is when people run these red lights, are speeding through these intersections, these little cameras would just pick them up, snap their picture in night vision, through the reflection, through the darkness and all that, catch a full scan of your face. And then it'll automatically just mail you a ticket. No matter where you're from. You can be from South Carolina. Man, I got a ticket in the mail from DC. You understand? Didn't even know about it. I remember the light I ran, but I ain't see no police out there. Didn't see no cameras either. You understand? But a lot of those things are now common practice in a lot of these major cities like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Miami, places like that. You understand? Because it's big business. But at one point in time, they were testing those products out here. Even what they call CCTV, the little security camera system, where they have it all throughout the city, and the police are able to watch basically everything all at one time and see the whole neighborhood. Well, they were doing that in South Carolina years before you even heard the term CCTV. You understand? They had entire block neighborhoods. They had cameras in trees, and they were just watching every street, every back road on certain sides of town. You understand? And they had these almost like war rooms where they just had all these monitors, and they was just watching all these sides of town. You understand? So now, what we were experiencing here in South Carolina was about a decade or two more advanced than the other parts of the country. So the military was about a decade or two even more advanced than that, because this technology was technology the military was using for 20 years, 20, 30 years now. You see what I'm getting at? So that time span is very realistic to believe that they're 50 years ahead of the civilian market. You understand? Like cell phones. They've been using cell phones since before we even had beepers. You understand? Matter of fact, they was using pager technology, that technology that you use for pagers. The military was using stuff like that during World War II. You understand? So that time span, when you look at it, you think about it like this. Now, that's just the military. But then you have another gap, which is the development. So there's things being developed that are not being developed for today to be used today. They're being developed to be used 50 years from now. You see what I'm getting at? By the military, which is still another 50 years from law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? Which is probably still another 50 years from civilian market. You understand? So, well, I don't know. I think law enforcement market, civilian market kind of tied in the same thing. But with that being said, a lot of these UAPs that you see, a lot of that is just military technology that just you're not privy to. You understand? A lot of that is experimental. Go ahead.
This is a question. So I gave this off topic. I just want to ask, have you ever heard the term, like whoever they are, that like, I guess run everything that we know, I guess. It's like they said they have to tell you in some way, shape, or form before. I don't know how to explain it. Like you remember that TV show? It's like this police TV show where like, pretty much like how you was talking about. It's all these cameras set up everywhere, and this dude and this female cop, they like work together to like solve certain crimes. I forget what it's called. My grandma used to watch it all the time, but it kind of reminds me of that. And I was like, a lot of things that we see on TV, it'll turn out like 10 to 15, 20 years later. Like they didn't actually made it like it was actually a real thing. It wasn't just a TV show. And I just wanted to ask, do you believe that that's true? Like they show us things sometimes, and then they like kind of, I guess, release it, even though they already probably got it. Because even the concept of some of the technologies is so advanced for them to have in certain TV shows and movies. Like, dang, how did they even think of that? When it's easier to believe that they already have that technology and just chose to kind of prep us with this TV show or movie. Mm-hmm. So when it comes out, it's not like a, so unbelievable or whatever. It don't raise any questions. Like we already low key used to it.
Mm-hmm. I can't say for sure if it's done for that intention. However, I will say this: video games, for instance, right? I went to school for game design, and I met a lot of game developers, concept artists, and things like that. You know what I mean? And one of the things that I learned about the video game industry, especially like with the development of games, say like Splinter Cell. You understand? Or even Metal Gear Solid, right? Now, sometimes it can be a little science fiction-y that inspires real technology, but then sometimes it's inspired by what's the word I'm looking for? Consultants that did that type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Like they might have consulted with people who were Delta Force, Special Forces, who may have run special operations where they had a one-man operation where they had to jump out of a plane and infiltrate a country and not get caught. And if they get caught, they on their own type of situation. So there's projects, games and movies where they would consult with people who live that type of lifestyle or might be in the military, served at a very high caliber team or something or unit that may have known people who did those type of things and saw things and heard things during their time in the military. And a lot of those type of stories and things like that would inspire certain things so that they could have a certain level of authenticity to their game. You understand? Even movies, things like that. Like, different fighting techniques and weapon usage. Like to give you an example, there's a movie that I like. It's called Extraction. Right? So I'm a gun guy. I love guns. Big on guns. I like guns. Like shoot 'em up movies. I like that kind of stuff. In the movie Extraction, you got the guy Chris Hemsworth. This is a small detail that most people may never pay attention to, but I pay attention to it because I'm a gun guy. So in every action movie you ever see where they got the machine gun, they shooting, it's always machine gun. It's always machine gun, everything machine gun, right? But in this movie, this guy has a machine gun, but he's not using it like a machine gun. He's shooting like single fire. Like every fire he shot, every shot he fires is a single shot. So he's not using it in fully automatic mode. So I thought that was very interesting because in the military, Marines, air, what do they call it? Not Air Force. Not Special Forces. What do they call it? Army Rangers. So the Army Rangers, like when you play Call of Duty, that's who you're playing against, the Rangers, the Ranger Battalion. So the Army Rangers, whenever they're engaged in combat, they're using those M4s. It's like in our mind, we're thinking they got machine guns. We've seen Rambo. Rambo using machine guns, just firing off. All the action movies, it's machine gun. But in reality, they're using single fire because it's more accurate. They're able to conserve ammo and they're able to hit their target with multiple rounds in a more accurate and efficient manner. So they can dispatch 10 people, still have a half a magazine. Whereas if they shoot fully automatic, if you ever shot a gun fully automatic, 30 rounds is gone in like 3 seconds. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now you do your whole magazine. You see what I'm getting? You see what I'm getting at? And that was one person. Now you got 15 other people and you got ammo. You get what I'm saying? So in reality, it's a lot different. So, sometimes people might get that type of information from people who live that lifestyle and seen certain things and use it to inspire the video game. You get what I mean? Like, for example, I believe it was Call of Duty. They kind of started this in video games where they started being able to change the color of your gun and all that type of stuff. that was, people thought it was cool, but the idea of it came from Desert Storm, where during Desert Storm, people were not even just Desert Storm, but Vietnam. During Vietnam, they were taking like tape and things like that and wrapping it around their gun just to change the look of it when they were in the wilderness. Desert Storm, they were taking tan spray paint and spray painting their guns tan. You understand? So they would be walking around holding this big black gun. So they would spray painting little patterns on their guns and all that. So all of that is things that come from the military, or learned in them, or things that carried over from these realistic scenarios, and then transferred over to the comic books, or comic books, cartoons, movies, video games, all of the above. So sometimes you might have a soldier that his unit was ordered to use some type of experimental technology to be able to carry out a mission, where this technology was created specifically to carry out this mission. And then next thing you know, these guys are being interviewed by some video game developer 20 years later, and they're talking about how they use this cool little device, and now they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna put that in our video game. He's gonna carry that around in his pocket. And he's gonna pull it out, and he's got thermal binoculars. You know what I'm saying? So, that's how those type of things, a lot of that type of stuff, it's not necessarily realistic that every person would have this kind of stuff, but it's cool. It happened. It's something we could take and build on and make even cooler. You know what I'm saying? So, so even down to the movie GoldenEye. I'll never forget this one. There was a movie called GoldenEye that came out when I was a kid. It's a James Bond movie. And in the movie GoldenEye, it was a satellite that could shoot a laser from outer space. And what it did was it like collected the sunlight and then focused it into a laser and like could burn up stuff and blow up buildings and all type of stuff. So I was like, dang, that's cool. A space laser. Wow. Just to grow up and hear conspiracy theories about this laser that they have in outer space that they literally call the Death Star. And, I think I remember reading about it when I was in college. And around that time, it was conspiracy theory. This ain't real. This is imaginary. People making this stuff up just to get people to come to their website and read it. Project Bluebeam is what they call it. Well, fast forward 2026, they talk about Project Bluebeam in Congress. You get what I'm saying? Except the only difference is the laser is not pointed at the Earth. It's actually pointed out in outer space, which is weird. You know what I mean? And I remember Commander Junior Hanna actually touched on that, where he was saying that, our oppressor, which is kind of getting into our topic today, but our oppressor has developed these space weapons and things like that, these what we call UAPs and things like that, because one day he knows that he's going to have to go to war with what we're going to read about in the Bible. You understand? Because these things are real. And our government has interacted. However, that's why when they released all them files, that's why all of their files is nothing but surveillance. They don't have no crash landed ship. That's a lie. That's BS. You know what I mean? You want to know how you know that's BS? Because it would have been in the files. There's no alien corpses, no little short gray people. It wasn't in the files. They released all the files. Some of it's redacted, some of it ain't, all of it ain't came out. But so far from what I read, they're not even close to capturing one of these things. You understand? But they've seen them. They've seen them. They've interacted with them. You know what I mean? Now, There was a a man by the name of Aleister Crowley. Right? You ever heard that? You ever heard his name? Aleister Crowley. Matter of fact, look him up. Look up his famous quote. We used to call them gods. See if you can find that quote and read it for the class about the show.
Oh, okay.
You don't have an iPhone charger, do you? Or a C-type charger?
Oh, okay. I got it.
He found his the quote.
I believe so.
It's a quote. It says we used to call them gods. Today we call them.
This one says today they call them angels and demons. And tomorrow they will call them.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So is it the whole quote?
I don't believe it.
All right, go ahead and read that quote loud for the class.
This is a quote by Aleister Crowley, and it says today. So like today they call them angels and demons.
So Aleister Crowley, he says today we call them angels. Does it give you any backstory about who he is?
It does, I believe, like the attribution and his actual views on God and all that stuff.
Okay, let's read that part about who he is.
It says the attribution, while widely attributed to Crowley on social media and internet forums in connection to his drawing of the entity Lamb, which resembles a modern great alien. This exact phrasing says it does not appear in Crowley's primary canonical literary works or published writing.
Stop. So Aleister Crowley. Matter of fact, can you pull up another tab? Pull him up on Wikipedia.
This one right here doesn't actually have like his views on that.
No, I don't want his views. I want to know who he is. It's his backstory. Show you that this ain't just some random white guy. Yeah, just type Aleister Crowley Wikipedia. Or who is Aleister Crowley? Go ahead and read that first paragraph.
Edward Alexander Crowley, born October 12th, 1875 to December the 1st, 1947, was an English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, novelist, mountaineer, and painter. As the founder of the religion of Dilemma in the early 20th century, he identified as its prophet, entrusted with guiding humanity into the eon of horror. A prolific writer, he published widely, composing the libretti of Dilemma over the course of his life.
So he was a weirdo. He worshipped all types of weird things. He was a rich, powerful, and influential white man. You understand? Read on.
Born into a wealthy family and
Born to a what?
A wealthy family.
A poor family.
A wealthy family.
So he was one of the so-called elitists or elite of the world, which you would consider him as. Read on.
Born to a wealthy family in Royal Leamington Spa, Warwickshire, Crowley rejected his parents' fundamentalist Christian Plymouth Brethren faith to pursue an interest in Western esotericism.
Esotericism, yeah.
He was educated at Trinity College at the University of Cambridge, where he focused his attention upon mountaineering and poetry, resulting in several publications. Some biographers allege that here he was recruited into a British intelligence agency, further suggesting that he remained a spy throughout his life. In 1898, he joined the esoteric Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where he was trained in ceremonial magic by Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers and Alan Bennett. He went mountaineering in Mexico with Oscar Eckenstein before studying Hindu and Buddhist practices in India.
So he studied all types of religions, all type of different ideologies. And he was jumping from doctrine to doctrine to doctrine. He was Hindu, Buddhist, Taoist. What was some of them other things? Thelmist, whatever stuff I never even heard of. However, we'll go ahead and cut to the chase. Aleister Crowley is the author of the Satanic Bible. You understand? He is the author of the Satanic Bible. You understand? And so now, Aleister Crowley, like I said, he was a very rich and powerful and influential man. You understand? It's alleged that he may have been a spy or worked for an intelligence agency. So this man was not just someone who didn't know anything. This wasn't just a random Caucasian. You understand? This was a very powerful and influential man. You understand? That potentially altered, you understand, or potentially influenced modern religion. You understand? Now, go to that quote that I had you pull.
Today, they call them angels and demons.
So he says, so this is his quote. He says, today, we call them angels and demons. Now, keep in mind, he lived around the late 1800s. You understand? Today, during that time period, they called them angels and demons. Read on.
And tomorrow, they will call them something else.
And he says, and tomorrow, they will call them something else. Right? So now, this man here is a man who's rejecting fundamental Christianity. A man who penned or authored the Satanic Bible. You understand? He claimed to have been possessed in some pyramid. You understand? When he wrote the Satanic Bible, but who knows? You understand? However, as powerful and as influential as this man is, he's telling you that today there's something in the sky there's something that we see on this earth that we call angels and demons. That same thing is going to be on the earth today, and we're going to see it even today. However, what's the difference? What does he say the difference is going to be?
The difference is we'll call them something.
Call them something else. Now, what is something that is supernatural that people see that today we call something else? Go ahead. UFOs. UFOs. How do we know that? Give me Zechariah chapter 5. Look up the definition of UFO.
What kind?
Before you read it.
UFO stands for unidentified flying object.
So, unidentified flying object. So Superman is not a UFO. Why? Because they say, look, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. So that ain't a UFO, even though he's a flying object. But when you see that flying object, right? See something in the sky, right? Is that a bird? It ain't a bird. Is that a plane? It ain't a plane. Ain't never seen no plane look like that. Is that a helicopter? It ain't no helicopter. Now, let's take it back to Zachariah days. You understand? Because whatever was flying around in that sky, been flying around since Zachariah days. You see what I'm saying? And it's still flying around today. But today we call them something else. We call them UFOs, UAPs, aliens. You see what I'm saying? Now let's read about this UFO.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 5, verse 1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes.
So now Zechariah is showing you, he's writing down a vision of something that he saw, right? Something that he witnessed. All right? Read on.
And looked, and behold, a flying roll.
And what?
A flying roll.
He said, and look, a flying roll. He don't even know what the hell it is. He describing what he see. You understand? If he knew what it was, he would call it what it was. But he trying to describe to you what he see because it's unidentified. He's never seen nothing like this. He's seen clouds in the sky. He's seen birds in the sky. He's seen the sun in the sky. He's seen the moon in the sky. He's seen stars in the sky. He's seen rain come out the sky. He's seen lightning in the sky. But he's seen tornadoes in the sky. But this thing ain't nothing like nothing else he's seen. Go ahead.
I was going to say, they can look at the constellations and tell what the weather was going to be a month from now. All types of things. So they were used to seeing and, were familiar with the stars.
Yeah, they very familiar. And guess what? It wasn't no citywide light. There was no light pollution back then. So they could look. You ever been out into the country and look up at the night sky?
Okay.
Man, that thing right there is humbling. Yeah, it's hard to not believe in God and be out there in the country and look up at that sky. It's hard to not believe that there's a God out there. You understand? Because when you see that night country night, pitch black, dark night, starry sky, it's like you see more stars. It's like the longer you look at it, the more stars you see. Am I tripping?
No,
Man, I remember one time I went out there and I swear I felt like I could see like the cosmos, like see like space dust, like space clouds out there, like see different colors and things like that. Like just like how the Avengers movies be looking. It look like that sometimes. And it really, if you pay attention, I remember when there was a moment. It was a unique kind of eclipse that happened. It wasn't like a typical eclipse, but it was like a once in a million year thing that happened, where the Earth had lined up on that plane. It's like a plane that the Milky Way. It's like a center line, I guess they call it the equator that the Milky Way has. And I think it's like every 100 years or something like that. Something crazy, every 1,000 years or something. But some ridiculous number every so often, the Earth will go into the center of that equator. And when it happens, it lines up with the center of the galaxy. And when you look up in the sky, you can see the outline of the Milky Way. Now I saw it. It wasn't all that. It was just like a line of stars in the sky. It wasn't nothing special really. But I was thinking it was gonna be some hella enlightening moment. It was nothing but some extra stars in the sky. But you could see the Milky Way, just like how the pictures was. It was just a little faint, but you could see it. And I remember when all the planets lined up. There was a moment in time where all the planets lined up in one straight line with the sun. And I remember even like a couple of days before it, you could see like the stars. You could see like each planet lined up like stars. You could see the kind of curve off of the star. It was kind of cool to see that. I was like, oh snap! And each day you see them get closer and closer until eventually they was all lined up. And I thought that was gonna be some type of magical moment. Wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? That was when I was like, yeah, all these, that's how I know like the Bible is true and the UPK is true because it's talking about how we was looking for a sign, and when those signs come, it don't mean shit. Don't nothing happen. You still gotta be working in the morning. You know what I'm saying? The cable bill still got to be paid. Rent still. I remember somebody made a skit, and it's the funniest skit I ever seen in my life about the flat Earth. Where brother sitting there, he just looking, and his woman is like off camera just yelling at him. She said, "Why the F would I give up? Why?" She said, "Why the F would I care about some shit like that?" She said, "Who cares what shape the Earth is? I still have to live on this mother, and I still got to pay punk ass bills." I was like, "Damn!" I'm like, yo, that right there just drove. It hit so hard. It hit so hard to me because I was that guy sitting there looking at the stars on these eclipses and all these special solar moments, just to wake up the next day and have to take my ass to work, thinking something special gonna happen. Ain't nothing happened. I just stayed up too late, and now I got to get my ass up. You understand? That stuff don't mean nothing. You understand? But nevertheless, like you said, back then these brothers was able to predict the weather. You understand? They all they see is the sky. They ain't got no TV. You understand? They go outside at night. They seeing shooting stars. They were seeing things back then in the sky that you'll never see because we got light pollution now. They didn't have that back then. Light pollution takes away a lot of the thunder of the night sky. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was out in Texas, on the highway coming back from Texas, you see that night sky. Come back on the Passover, and that night sky almost terrifying. When you cross over that bridge and you see the water, feel like you're driving through outer space. See the stars in the sky, the stars reflecting off the water. You don't know which way up or which way. I remember one time I was on a plane one time flying over the water. And you see the stars in the sky. You see the stars reflecting off the water. And the night sky so clear, it felt like we got lost and was on our way to Mars or something. Like, man, you sure you went that way instead of that way? You know what I mean? Like, you sure we were in outer space? But nevertheless, you got to understand, like, the mind of a person who lived during these times. Seeing an object in the sky was completely alien. Like, what is that? You understand? What is that? Who? You don't even have no explanation. There's nothing you can compare that to. So the only thing he's saying is it's flying, it's a flying roll. You understand? Now, when he described the roll, think of like think of something like this. Just scroll right here. Like you take like a piece of paper and you just roll it up. You understand? That's what he's describing, like a pillar, like a cylinder, something that's cylinder shaped, is flying in the air. You understand? This is what he's describing, what he's seeing. Right? Read on.
Verse 2. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits.
So now he's saying the length thereof 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. So this thing, it ain't quite like it's not like a perfect sphere or perfect cube, but it's like almost like a pill, almost like a pill shape is what he's describing. You know what I mean? Imagine like I'm trying to think of how I can describe it. Like a something like that. Yeah, like a soda can shape thing. You know what I mean? Read on. But he said, but how many cubits did he say?
20. The length thereof is 20 cubits.
So a cubit back then, it's hard to say exactly what a cubit was. I'm a little rusty, but I do believe a cubit, it's an estimated measurement, but it's like from the tip of your finger to your elbow. It's like a cubit. So that's how you would measure. You know what I mean? You would measure something. 1, 2, 3. So it's 30 of these. How much?
It was it was 20 cubits.
So 20 cubits, excuse me.
And the breadth thereof 10 cubits.
So 20 cubits by 10 cubits, right? So this thing was about 40 feet long and about 20 feet wide. That's what he's describing. Roughly that. Roughly 40 feet long, 20 feet wide. Right? Like something about the size of a bus, maybe. Think of like a bus, like a charter bus. Something that size in the sky. Right? He's saying this thing in the sky, floating there. Go ahead.
I was going to ask a quick question. Do you think it may have been? I know you said it's a cubit is an estimate anyway, but do you think it could have been bigger depending on like how high up you think it was, or maybe it could have been lower?
I mean, it could have very. I mean, in scripture don't go into that, so you don't want to necessarily speculate on what could be if the Bible don't say it. You know what I mean? But what he's describing is what we go with. You know what I mean? Because he could be off by 10, 15 cubits. Who knows? But he's giving the best description that he can give.
I was just asking because I just thought it was kind of cool. Like it might have been even bigger than that. That's kind of cool to me. So I was like, man, he's guessing, so he could have actually been like something even bigger.
It could have been a lot bigger, because one, it's hard to determine how far up in the sky it was. You just know it's up there. That thing up there, and it's big, bigger than my horse and buggy. You know what I mean? That thing about as long as a sailboat. You know what I mean? Like it's about how he described it, like a sailboat in the sky, big old big thing. You understand? Read.
Verse 3. Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
Read that part again.
Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
So now he says that this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the earth. What curse is he talking about? You understand? What curse is he talking about? You understand? Hold on one second. I'm at the wrong scripture. All right, read on.
Come. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it.
You understand? So he's talking about judgment day. You understand? This curse is going to go forth across the earth. You understand? Meaning this thing is going to come back and punish people. You understand? Now, Christ said he's going to come back with 200 million of these things. You understand? And he is going to punish people. You understand? Read on.
Come. Verse 4. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief.
Now it says, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. Who is that talking about? Go ahead.
The house of Esau.
Now, why do you say it's the house of Esau?
Because they're the thieves. They stole our identity from us. They're in a position that we should be at. We should be over everything. You know, we should govern the money and who gets what. And, you know, the laws and statutes. That's us, and they've stolen that and consider themselves to be.
So, okay, so those are good examples. Whenever you're breaking it down to somebody, you want to stick to the context of the scripture, the word, the key words of the scripture. That way you can keep their attention and be able to almost get them to answer it for you.
Okay.
You understand? So you can be like, enter into the house of the thief. How did America get this land from the North American Indians?
They stole it.
They stole it. You understand? How did the so-called Jewish man take the land of Israel?
He stole
He
it.
stole it. You understand? How did black people lose their culture and their history and their heritage?
Stole
They
it.
stole it. You understand? So we are a stolen people living in a stolen land. You understand? So the thief, it's the house of the thief. It's talking about the house of Esau, the house of the so-called white man. You understand? The house of America, Israel, Europe. You understand? Russia. You understand? The Lord's going to enter into their house. You understand? This thing that he's seeing, they're going to cover, they're going to be all in the sky, all over America. And they're going to punish our president. You understand? Read on.
And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name.
So now it says, into the house of him that swear falsely by my name. You understand? Talking about who?
That makes me think of the fake Jews in Jerusalem,
Okay. Who else?
preachers.
They're gonna think of those. Think of who swear falsely by his name. So you can think religious, the religious leaders. You understand? Because you know what I mean, they play a hand in our oppression too. You understand? These Christian pastors, all these Christian churches, man, they're gonna be outside praying to white Jesus. And then you just gonna see that laser beam just come out of the sky and just zap them. Man. Gonna be like that movie War of the Worlds. And that thing just starts zapping people, and all you seen was dust and clothes. You'll see that. You're gonna see that Armani suit just float. You're gonna see him just disappear. You're gonna see that Armani suit just floating in the wind. You understand? Read on.
Come. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
You know what I'm saying? It says they shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. You understand? Meaning that all of everything that belongs to all of their power structure, meaning their religions, all of their all the tools they use to oppress us, you know, all of those things, it's just gonna be brought down to the ground, turned into rubble. You understand?
Come.
All right. So now, because you know, typically when you see that where it says the timber and the stones thereof, those are key indicators of the religions. You understand? The timber meaning like the Christianity, because there's been really, I mean, they say there's 3 major religions in the world, but it's really just 2. You have your what you call your Judeo-Christian, and then you have your Muslim. And those are the 2 religions, 2 major world religions that oppress us. So the timber symbolizes the Christianity. The stone symbolizes You understand? So these chariots, they demolish both of them. You understand? And guess what? Who and what religions is going to war right now? You got your Judeo Christians going against your Islam. So the Lord is bringing all of that into war together in the valley of decision. And then in the midst of that war, you're going to see this curse go forth over earth. You understand? You know. Oh, that's last verse 4.
Okay.
All right, I want you to drop that. Right. Now, I want you to go to the book of Ezekiel. And I'm going to start at verse 1. Ezekiel, verse 1. No, chapter 1. Slap chapter 1.
Chapter 1. So
I'm going to go to 1. We're going to go to verse 16.
okay.
We got any comments in the chat? Question?
Sister Flora had it was referring to the Alistair Crowley.
Mhm.
She said, and Siri calls him an occultist, and she asked what we call it.
What do we call him?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
Repeat what she said. She's asking like, what do we consider him?
She just said what we call it with a question mark. Two separate comments.
What do we call it? Or if you could, are you talking about what do we call Aleister Crowley, or what do we call the thing that he referred to as angels and demons, and we call and today people call something else? Did she type that in during that comment?
It was when we was talking about him at 7:35 so o'clock. She said, no, you asked the question about the quote from Aleister Crowley.
Okay.
And I was just answering it. What changes is what we call
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, yes. So like I said, we ain't checking the comments as studious as we should be. So like what who we got some anybody else in class?
we got Sister Rawap in class.
So it's all sisters in here. Okay. All right, no sweat. All right, so let's see. We at Ezekiel.
16.
All right, so we're in Ezekiel 1:16, right? So now we just described to you about Zechariah. You understand his experience with this thing. You understand seeing these things. Now keep in mind they can be any shape, any size. You understand? They can be any shape, any size. They can be this big. You understand? They can be the size of Greenville. You understand? They don't have to be 40 cubits. You understand? Read on. Read that scripture. Yeah.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 16. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl.
So now keep in mind, what did he just say, right? What did he say? The appearance of the what? I'm trying to get this thing right.
The appearance of the wheels.
The appearance of the wheels. Now, Zechariah is seeing something. No, not Zechariah. Ezekiel is seeing something different. Ezekiel is seeing a wheel. You understand? Read it again from the top.
The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl.
Now the color. Now when it says like the color of the beryl, right? So if you could go on Google, pull up a beryl stone. Because a beryl is like a gem, like a stone. not really a gem, but yeah, here we go. You show that to the class.
It's like, is this a going?
No. Yeah, any one of those is fine. Yeah, you can show that one. That's all right. So now this wheel that he's describing is like in color of beryl. Now this right here is what you call a beryl stone. Okay. So now, what are some things you notice about this stone? It's crystalline. It's a crystal. You understand? So the color of it is almost see-throughish. It's almost like glass-like. And you know what I mean? And being that this is a stone, meaning that if it's polished and cut right, this thing will sparkle like a diamond. You understand? Go ahead.
That means by the work. It says the color and the work.
The color and the work. So you know what? I've never even got that. Let me hold that one. Let me see. Hold on one second.
So like this is of course chariots with a question mark.
What did she say?
She said chariots with a question mark. I believe she may be answering a question for some shape or form.
If you get give me a little more, Florida, you know, we're a little behind on this whole
She said when he's describing the wheels, I thought maybe he was talking about the wheels of a chariot.
okay, okay. All right. So he's actually describing the chariot itself. So when he talks about the wheels, read it again.
Con. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl.
All right. So what he's saying is that this wheel is the color of beryl. You understand? It's likened to the color of beryl. That's a reason why it says likened to the color of beryl and not to the color of grass. You get what I'm saying? Because grass is just green, but beryl is green. But beryl has features that grass doesn't have, which means that grass or beryl gives off light like sparkles. You know what I mean? So this thing is going to be a glistening, lighting. It's going to be lit up. You get what I'm saying? It's going to sparkle, have lights on it. Things that's going to catch your eye and sparkle and different things like that. It's going to be shiny and polished. This isn't just. It just isn't just like a green circle in the sky that he's seeing. This is something that's shaped like a wheel. You understand? And it's polished, shining, glistening, and it's like got a greenish color to it. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So read on.
And they had four, and they had Salakia, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel.
So now this thing is describing something that is like a wheel within a wheel. You understand? Which if you look up UFOs, that's he's describing something that is like a more modern day UFO, or a more commonly described UFO, or what we call a flying saucer. Because a flying saucer looks like what? A wheel,
Like a this.
like a disc or a wheel within a wheel. You understand? Almost like a tire and a hub or something. That's a wheel within a wheel. You understand? Read on. Now a lot of people try to depict it like some type of weird thing that like two sonic rings interconnected. You know what I mean? But that's not what he's describing. He's describing a wheel within a wheel. You understand? Or he said it right here with as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So, go ahead.
So it's like he compartmentalized it. Like there's something different about the center of it as opposed to like the outside.
Well, he's more so describing it. Like, think about if you saw a car tire, right? And you've never seen a car before. And you have the tire and you have the rim.
Oh, okay.
The rim by itself is a wheel.
Oh, okay.
The tire by itself is a wheel. But the tire and the rim together is a wheel within a wheel. So there's a wheel in the middle, and then there's another wheel extending. You get what I'm saying?
No.
All right, read on.
Verse 17.
I'm gonna have to find out about those. That's a good question. I've never even asked that question. I'm gonna find out.
Verse 17. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went.
All right, so it says when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. So what this is talking about is basically how this thing moved. It didn't move the way like how an airplane moves. The airplane moves kind of like follows the laws of physics. But this thing is saying it moves like you expect something to turn. When it turns like this. Like that's the normal way things turn. Everything in life turns like this, right? But this thing is saying this. It says that and it turned not when they went. So meaning this, that it was going like this. It moved like that. You get what I'm saying? It didn't move the way other things moved. You understand? All right. Somebody asked a question?
No,
Go ahead.
oh, Sister Four does have a question. She said when he's describing the wheels, I thought maybe he was talking about the wheels of a chariot.
Okay. Right. Well, okay, so let's go back up to the so in this whole chapter, right? This chapter is talking about a description of angels. Okay. So it's going down in the description of angels, right? Now, when it gets down to verse 15, let's see, hold on one second. So it talks about the angels, but then it talks about the wheels, these wheels that accompany the angels. You understand? Or these that they traveled in. They traveled on these wheels. So when he says that when he's talking about the wheels, he's describing the vehicle that these angels travel in. So that's why he referred to them as a wheel. You understand? So he's not talking about the wheel of a chariot. You understand? He's describing the vehicle that the angels appeared in. You understand? So when you go back and you read Ezekiel chapter 1 and if you start at verse 1, it's going to give you descriptions of the angels. Now, of course, you will want to have it broken down for you because if you don't, you're going to be thinking you're talking about lion-footed hoof people. You understand? Well, that's not what it's talking about at all. But this scripture is this chapter is describing the angels, and with these angels, it's describing them, and then they had these wheels that accompanied them, that they came in, that they appeared in, that they traveled in, that they went to and fro in. You understand? Matter of fact, if we go to verse 15, read that scripture from the Bible shot.
Come. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse 15. Now,
yeah, go ahead and read that.
Come, verse 15. Now, as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures.
So now he's describing the will that is by the living creatures. So imagine what he's describing is, think of it like this. What he's seeing is, imagine all the movies you've seen where you have the UFO that's come down and touching the earth, right? And then in front of this UFO, you have these beings standing. That's what he's describing. So he's seeing these creatures standing in front of or beside this giant wheel. And he's describing the wheel in the scriptures that we're breaking down. So these aren't the wheels of a chariot. He's just describing the shape of this vehicle as a wheel. Now, he's not referring to it as a chariot. You understand? He's not in this scripture. He's not referring to it as a chariot. He's just writing down what he sees. You understand? And that's all he's really doing. So he's not saying that this is the wheel of a chariot. He's describing this vehicle or this. He don't even know it's a vehicle. He don't know what the hell it is. You understand? He's just writing down what he sees. He sees these people standing beside this wheel, and this wheel is a wheel within a wheel, and it's shining and it's glistening and it's polished and it's sparkling, and it's got this light coming from it that's green too, and it's got, you know what I mean? He don't know what the hell he's looking at. You know what I mean? So he's just writing it down. He don't know that's a vehicle or he don't know what it is. He's never seen anything like this before. You understand? She said something else?
Allah server, she said got it, the water. And we got Trooper Dom checking in as well.
All right, no sir. Hold on 1 second. Mute the microphone, brother. Hey, Shalom. Everybody, Salakia, if you could, just be on standby, Baba Kashah. I'm just dealing with a situation right now, so just bear with me, Baba Kashah. You know, I'm gonna try to get through all the scriptures before the end of class. Um, After this one, there's only two more, so just bear with me, okay, Baba Kashah. Salakia. Go ahead. Get the mic. So no, I feel like an old nigga with these glasses, bro. Like I look like an old man when I do this. Nah, I feel like my brother's lying to me. Give it back. All right, so where we at? So I just want to say Salaki everybody who was patiently waiting, Salaki about that. Just
So, like, I don't know why it's kind of choppy right now.
choppy. All right, well, we're gonna go. Cause I got like two scriptures I want to go over. If it's choppy, if it's choppy, it's choppy. Then just have to go back over it at a later date. So where you at with that scripture?
Ezekiel chapter 1, and I was about to read verse 15.
Verse 15. All right, go ahead and get it.
Come to Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 15.
No, start at verse 16. Salaki.
Verse 16. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like
No, this is the one we already read. Hold on, you know, Isaiah.
Ezekiel.
Go to Isaiah 66, verse 15 through 16. And go out of 11 children.
Isaiah 16,
66.
66, and 16.
15, 16.
Go ahead, read it when you got it.
Anybody's watching the class still? If the sound is choppy, go ahead and let us know in the chat, Baba Shah. If it's choppy, then I have the brother type the scriptures that you need in the chat. All right. Go ahead, Al.
Now comes the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15. For behold,
So like the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
All right, read that again, Baba Shah.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
So now the Lord said he gonna come with fire. You understand? He's gonna come with fire. How? His chariots. You understand? His chariots. You understand? The fire, that's a thermonuclear war. You understand? And with his chariots, like a whirlwind. So his chariots are going. You know what I mean? His chariots are gonna proceed over the earth in the last days. Go ahead.
To render his anger with fury.
So these chariots, these chariots, you understand, are going to go forth, you understand, to render out the Lord's anger and fury. You understand, that to bring judgment on earth. Like it said in Zechariah, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the earth. Read on.
And his rebuke with his
Go ahead.
and his rebuke with flames of fire.
So this is going to be that belt, that BTA to our so-called oppressor. You understand? All right, read on.
Verse 16. For by fire and by his word will the Lord plead with all flesh.
All right, read that again.
For by fire and by his word, it's like it. For by fire and by his sword
Right.
will the Lord plead with all flesh.
So now, think about that. It says, for with fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh. You understand? When they say the Lord can plead with thee, when the Lord said he's going to plead with mankind, how do you think he's going to do that? You should think he's going to come down and beg? Nah, that ain't how the Lord beg. That ain't how the Lord ask of thee. You understand? That ain't how he plead. You understand? That ain't how the Lord do it. The Lord do it with fire and war and destruction and death. You understand? Read on.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many.
You understand? Guess what? Just like in the days of Noah, so shall the days of the coming of the Son of Man shall be. And just like in the days of Noah, the slain of the Lord will be many. You know what I'm saying? In these last days, the slain of the Lord will be many. When these chariots come, the slain of the Lord will be many. You understand? Go to Ezekiel 1 and 22, and then that's the.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and verse 22. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal.
So now, when it says in the likeness of the firmament was upon the heads of the living creatures. So it's talking about. Let me see. Blah, 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 blah. So he's describing the chariot that is above the angel, right? So read it again from the top.
And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures.
So it's saying the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures. So the firmament is the sky. So he's seeing something in the sky. And he's about to describe the likeness of this thing that he sees in the sky over this angel. Go ahead.
Was as the color of the terrible crystal.
So it's like saying that's the color of the terrible crystal. Now, the terrible crystal, what that is describing is something. Okay. Now, he said he's calling it terrible because it was frightening to him. You understand? But he's also describing it as a crystal. Now, this terrible crystal, the reason why it was frightening to him is because it was flashing light like a crystal. You understand? That's why I called it a terrible crystal. It's like a big, scary, sparkling, flashing thing that he saw over this angel. You understand? And in the light of this thing was cast down onto the head of the angel. So this thing gave off light and magnificent, brilliant light that terrified him when he saw it. Read on.
Will come. Stretched forth over their heads above.
So this thing was stretched forth over their heads above. You understand? This terrible crystal, this thing that was just giving off this bright, brilliant, flashing, blinding, terrifying light. You understand? This thing terrified him. Think of it like this. The way he's describing it is, imagine that feeling you get when you're driving on the highway late at night. And then all of a sudden you see that terrible crystal flickering behind your rear view. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what he's describing. He's describing something like almost like police lights. Like, oh, well, like, you know what I mean? Bright late at night, you see this thing flickering and flashing, it's gonna terrify you. You understand? So that's what he's describing. You know, and keep in mind, this is a time where there were no strobe lights, flashlights, headlights, and high beams and low beams, signal lights and brake lights. This didn't exist back then. You understand? They had candles and torches and fire pits back then, bonfires. That was about it. You understand? Everything else was terrible. It was a terrible crystal, something supernatural that they couldn't even describe. They couldn't even figure out the words to say. They have to describe it in a way that still don't make sense to you. You understand? Because you got flashlights. You know, it's very easy for him to say, man, that thing was like a flying saucer. You don't know what the hell a flying saucer is. Never heard that term before. Well, like a spaceship. You don't know the terms. You understand? Look like a PS5 controller. You understand? He don't know what to describe it as. You know what I'm saying? Look like a hamburger bun. He can't say that. You know what I'm saying? He can't say that. He can't say it was chrome. It was chromed out. Can't say that. He don't know what that is. You understand? So they describing things in the best way they can at the time. You understand? So now that go ahead and cut the class with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street out of Harlem, New York, under commanding General Johanna. They're not affiliated with any other Israelite group. If it's not in the ISUPK under commanding General Johanna, we're not in the truth. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. That shalom.